تسري في شراييني، حسين يا احمرار الدمع في الأشفار والعين، ويا جمر اللظى المسجور في الأعماق يكويني، حسين جرحي المفتوح يجري في الثرى نهرا، فأغرف منه محبرتي وأكتب بالدم الشعرا، وتروي أحرف الكلمات قصة غربة المرة. أرى عمري غدا طيفا يمر بخاطري ذكرى، فأرجوه بأن يبقى يجيب بلوعة عذرا. قضى ربي بأن أمضي فصبرا زينبا صبرا، فكيف الصبر والنيران من حولي تحاصرني، فكيف الصبر والنيران من حولي تحاصرني. أخي هل صهوة الأرماء أرأف فيك من بدني، لتحضن رأسك المدمى وليتك كنت تحضنني. وهل سمع الفضاء غدا أحن إليك من أذني، لكي تشكو إليه جواه وما لاقيت من محني، وتبني من غبار الريح بيت الأمن والسكن، وتهجر بيت وجداني وفي البيداء تتركني، وفي البيداء تتركني. أخي ليت الثرى صدري وقلبي تربة القبر. أخي ليت الثرى صدري وقلبي تربة القبر، لتغفو فيه في أمن من الرمضاء والحر. تحسس دفء وجداني تلمس حرقة الجمر، وخذ قلبي فرات الماء، روحي ضفة النهر، توسد متني المدمى بصوت الظلم والقهر. أنا ما مل صدر الهم مل صبر من صبري، سهام الموت تمطرني وسهم البين يذبحني، عجيب كيف تهجرني ومن لقياك تحرمني، وتغفو في الثرى وروحك في تسكنني. حسين يا دماء الشوق تسري في شراييني، حسين يا احمرار الدمع في الأشفار والعين، ويا جمر اللظى المسجور في الأعماق يكويني. حسين جرحي المفتوح يجري في الثرى نهرا، فأغرف منه محبرتي وأكتب بالدم الشعرا، وتروي أحرف الكلمات قصة غربة المرة. أرى عمري غدا طيفا يمر بخاطري ذكرى، فأرجوه بأن يبقى يجيب بلوعة عذرا. قضى ربي بأن أمضي فصبرا زينبا صبرا، فكيف الصبر والنيران من حولي تحاصرني، فكيف الصبر والنيران من حولي تحاصرني. أخي هل صهوة الأرماء أرأف فيك من بدني، لتحضن رأسك المدمى وليتك كنت تحضنني. وهل سمع الفضاء غدا أحن إليك من أذني، لكي تشكو إليه جواه وما لاقيت من محني، وتبني من غبار الريح بيت الأمن والسكن، وتهجر بيت وجداني وفي البيداء تتركني، وفي البيداء تتركني. أخي ليت الثرى صدري، وقلبي تربة القبر. أخي ليت الثرى صدري وقلبي تربة القبر، لتغفو فيه في أمن من الرمضاء والحر. تحسس دفء وجداني تلمس حرقة الجمر، وخذ قلبي فرات الماء، روحي ضفة النهر. توسد متني المدمى بصوت الظلم والقهر. أنا ما مل صدر الهم، مل صبر من صبري. سهام الموت تمطرني وسهم البين يذبحني. عجيب كيف تهجرني.
Good to have a better turnout tonight. We have the thumbs up. Okay, we're good to go. We're live, and thanks to our viewers. Thank you for being with us tonight. Inshallah, the second night of Muharram and third night for some. We're continuing on subjects that were looked at yesterday. To refresh your memory a little bit, it was the idea of emotion and intellect. How do you connect with a religion? Is it purely on intellect, or does emotion have a big part to play? And from my understanding, and please Sayyid correct me if I'm wrong, and he'll continue on this topic, inshallah, emotion is a stronger driver than you might believe. The heart is somewhere you can connect with any human being without coming and explaining the philosophy or the science of why God exists and why religion is there. So the heart, let it take you a little further. If it can work with religion, what about your relationships? Let's look at the institute of marriage, for example. We know that marriage is filled with rules and regulations. There's things you have to respect as a wife towards your husband, as a husband towards your wife. You owe me this and you owe me that. And personally, this is how I related to what Sayyid said yesterday. It kind of gave me an understanding that maybe this is something I have to apply everywhere. And I'm at fault for being a person that it's all about reason and intellect, and that's the only thing that works for many years of my life. And slowly but surely I was realizing the only way I could reach people was with a touch of emotion. And that's what really drove me at the end of the day for my decisions. If there was something I really wanted to do, it wasn't because 1 + 1 = 2 and it was the right decision. It was because at the end of the day, I had an emotion that said, yeah, take that step. So the final driver, regardless of how convinced I was by the actual facts, was a feeling, was something I felt in the heart and not in the mind, as Said was saying yesterday. So on that note, I'm like, what if I can apply it to something on the Institute of Marriage? What if love is the motivator between two people to be there for each other, to respect the covenant that is sacred to us, the rules and regulations that are set by our fiqh rules? What if that is what pushes you? And if you actually, I encourage you to observe, try to observe all these successful relationships that you look at, whether it's a colleague or at work, whether it's brother and sister, father and child, or husband and wife. Try to see how much of that is love, and how much of the peace that exists in that relationship, and how much of the growth spiritually towards God exists because of, at the end of the day, the feeling first, followed by the intellect after. Sayyid, that was my, inshallah, humble understanding. I believe you'll continue on this today. And we're fortunate to have Sayyid on the second night tonight. For you viewers, again, if you missed what was happening yesterday, you can always catch up onto it on the Facebook page. Everything, as soon as it's uploaded live, as soon as it's completed the live program, it's uploaded on the Facebook page and you can have access to it immediately. On this note, before we continue the program, Who is Hussein is starting a huge blood drive, one of the biggest yet. I think the number that I wrote was at 150,000 liters of blood. It's a lot of blood, guys. And we're trying to really reach that number on August 27th. So you want to mark your calendars. That's a Saturday, the end of this month, August 27th. And we are one of the places where hopefully we can solicit you to make this happen. Now, it's an application. You have to book a date and everything. So inshallah, for the sister's side, Ikhid Zainab Birai, and hopefully a few of her assistants will be able to assist you in getting that set up and that booked. And on the gentleman's side, please come and see me. Over the next few nights, we'll have a booth set up right at the entrance there between the man and the woman. And then you can come and we can help you set up the entire application on the phone. So Who is Hussein blood drive, I'll mention this every day. And without further ado, inshallah, we're going to start our program with a few ayat bayinat min al-Quran al-Kareem. يتلوها علينا السيد brother of the Sayyid. فليتفضل مصحوبا بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم وإن تطيعوا الله ورسوله لا يلتكم من أعمالكم شيئا إن الله غفور رحيم إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون قل أتعلمون الله بدينكم والله يعلم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض والله بكل شيء عليم يمنون عليك أن أسلموا قل لا تمنوا علي إسلامكم بل الله يمن عليكم إن الله يعلم غيب السماوات والأرض والله بصير بما تعملون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. عطروا مجالسكم بذكر الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله بسم الله صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. We are fortunate to have the Sayyids here with us tonight, and I believe, of course, all thanks to be to God, but I really want to thank your father to have raised gentlemen like you, to be able to have people like you within our community, to have the service of the community. We are very, very fortunate to have that. Before we start Sayyid Jaafar's lecture for tonight, we always say try to be like Al-Hasany. Try to be like the Imam, our Imam. The Imam went and fought with a sword, and he was there standing against tyranny, and there was battle, and there was horses. How can I go and be on a horse and with a sword? And look at around me, everybody's on a phone. It's a different world. Well, why did Imam Hussein even go out to fight in the first place? And we throw this word around a lot, justice, and it was something that's not just. Imam Hussein wanted to stand up against injustice. Is the only way to stand up against injustice with a sword on top of a horse? Of course not. It can happen in the smallest things. And I'm talking to the youth here. You're at school. Maybe grade 6, grade 7, grade 9, grade 10, starting high school. You see two kids getting into a fight. Maybe one of them is right to fight the other person off. Maybe somebody's trying to... But would you just let them hurt each other, beat each other up? Of course not. Step in. That's one way of fighting injustice. Stop, get them to talk, have some peace. And if you feel like you're not strong enough to do that, to get two people to stop fighting, build the strength. Work on yourself. And that, just working on yourself for that purpose, means you're trying to fight injustice. And just by doing that, you are in your own way trying to be and being like Imam Hussein. Without further ado, we'd love to present Sayyid Jaafar. Thank you again for being here tonight. Please, فَلْيَتَفَضَّلْ مَصْحُوبًا بِالصَّلَاةِ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدٍ.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of God, most merciful, ever merciful, and may God's peace and blessings be upon His holy Prophet Muhammad and the purified members of his household and progeny. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Respected sisters, dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The world is an ideological battlefield. It is an arena where ideas, visions, theories, worldviews, values are constantly in tension and in conflict with each other. In every aspect in every dimension of human activity, this is a battle that is going on. From the most mundane and trivial aspects of our lives to the deepest, most complex questions, there are different theories, different worldviews, different opinions, and each one of them tries to claim to be the truth. Each one of them tries to gain more adherents, more followers, more believers. Each one of these ideas is trying to get you on board, to be one more supporter of that idea. This applies, as we said, to every dimension and every aspect of human life. From what we eat, to how we dress, to our interaction with nature, to the meaning and understanding of what is a family or marriage, how we're supposed to manage our money, and so on and so forth. And this is just to talk about the things that perhaps are more trivial in daily life. Then when we go to things that are deeper and more fundamental, such as what is right and wrong? Who decides what is right and wrong? What is good and evil? Who decides? How we decide that? What is the purpose of life? For each one of these questions, we see a whole slew of different opinions, values, theories, worldviews that are usually in conflict with each other. And the greatest and most fundamental and most impactful of these questions is the question of the existence of God. The reason why it's the most important is because every other question depends on it. Depending on the answer, depending on the position that you take with regards to the existence of God, your entire worldview changes. Every other question that we just mentioned, and hundreds or thousands like it, are in fact derivatives of that question. They derive out of the question of whether God exists or not. If my answer is that God does exist, then my answers are going to follow. Therefore, I will eat this way, and I will dress that way, and I will talk this way. And this is for someone who truly understands the ramification of saying God exists. My understanding of what is good and evil changes. What is right and wrong changes. How I act in every instant in this world is going to change, because now there is a God, and there is an afterlife, and there's a judgment. Everything changes because of that. And on the other side, if you say there is no God, then as a result, domino effect, the repercussion is all of those answers are also going to change. Each one of these answers is going to put you on a different path. And then there are those who stay in limbo. They don't reach a conclusion. They don't say God exists, and they don't say God does not exist. So they stay in limbo. And eventually, a human being who stays in limbo, this is going to show in their life. There's an anxiety that comes from a lack of meaning in your life. There's an anxiety that comes from not being able to found your life and your actions and your beliefs on a stable foundation. Things are always in doubt. Things are always uncertain. Things are always open to being questioned. This is a very quick, very short introduction to this very deep topic. This is not something, sometimes these days we hear that this is something that is starting these times. Life is getting more complicated. These battlefields, these battles between worldviews, theories, values are intensifying, getting more difficult. This existed since day one that we've had human beings. The Holy Quran tells us that the father of humanity as we know it, our humanity, is Adam alayhi salam, Prophet Adam. The Quran tells us about his two sons, Habil and Qabil. The narrations tell us about their names. Their names are not mentioned in the Quran. The Quran tells us that each one of these two men had an entirely different worldview. You all know the story. They had a conflict. Usually when there's a tension, when there's a conflict, when things are going well, nothing happens. It's when there's a tension that you're going to get to the bottom of things. You're going to see the reality come out. There was a tension between them. Therefore, there's action. There's a position that will be taken. When the tension happened, when the difficulty happened and they had a disagreement, one of them told the other, Qabil told Habil, I'm going to kill you. And Habil said, if you are going to raise your hand to kill me, I will not raise my hand to kill you. I fear God. In his worldview, there is a God. In the worldview of Qabil, he may say with his mouth and with his words, there's a God. He sure did not act like there's a God. His worldview is different, his actions are going to be different. He killed his brother. Day one, from the first human beings, you see the ramifications of this. Different worldviews, different theories, different values, depending on what you take and what you adopt at the theoretical level, you're going to see the repercussions of that at your action level, at your practical level. One thing that sometimes people miss is that they think, by not thinking about things, by not really spending time and energy and effort going through this, that you can be safe, that you don't need to worry about a worldview. You're not taking a position, you're neutral. That in itself is taking a position. That in itself is a worldview. And it's not always the safe one. Inshallah, as we talk more over the next nights, we don't have a lot of time today, we'll talk about worldviews. There are worldviews today that are creeping into every aspect of our lives. When we talk about neoliberalism, what is it based on? How did we get here? How is it, what does it mean that we say it's expansionist, it's imperialist, it's colonialist? What does that mean? Do we mean that we need to also take a position towards this? Sometimes I don't know. By buying a certain thing or supporting a certain cause, I'm also benefiting a worldview and everything behind it. And by not doing so, I may be benefiting another. Or, in some cases, I may be harming one or another. I can't be oblivious to this. Every decision that I make is supporting some cause and is being harmful to another. I can't be naive and innocent to the point of pretending that all of this is not happening. Okay? The conclusion that we want to reach from this introduction is that, inshallah, this is going to serve as the main theme running through the rest of the nights. This idea of the ideological battleground that is the world. And this may seem that it's very stressful and very difficult and puts us at a loss and becomes confusing. In short, the answer, the solution that we want to provide, we're not going to say Islam is the solution. We're going to make it a lot more precise. We're going to give you a very condensed version of Islam. It has everything in it, but in a short summarized version. We're going to say that Karbala is a criterion. Karbala is going to be the distinction that is going to allow us to go through this life that is an intellectual and ideological battlefield. I will go into this world equipped with my knowledge of Karbala, equipped with the values of Karbala. Okay, so this becomes our introduction and the momentum that inshallah we will use over the next nights. We said that the main, biggest, deepest, most impactful question that needs to be resolved is the question of the existence of God. So we're going to start from the beginning with the existence of God. Today, we live in a world where the existence of God is constantly questioned. This has gone on for a while. It was not always the case. Since a period in time, a very specific point in time, that began in Europe, that today we call the modern age. When the modern age started, there was a shift. This became the foundation upon which a lot of the worldview of today exists. What is that shift? From the time that Christianity entered into Europe